Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessie Manuela Tienchu, and I'm a senior at Frederick Douglass High School. I have participated in the International Baccalaureate Program, Student Government Association, National Honor Society, mock trial, soccer, and that's just a few to name, over my 4-year tenure at Frederick Douglass High School, and have been able to maintain a 4.8 GPA. Thank you. I enjoy poetry, politics, traveling, and service to others. My long-term goal is to either become a criminal or immigration lawyer. And I am a proud senior at Frederick Douglass High School, and I am ready for college. Thank you. Now I would want to welcome you to November 27, 2018 Prince George's County Board of Education meeting. Highlights this evening will include the news break aiming for the wild blue yonder. Additionally, under consent agenda, the Board of Education will acknowledge Maryland Emancipation Day, American Education Week, National Native American History Month, and Computer Science Education Week. Please continue to check www.pgcps.org for up-and-coming Board of Education meetings and events. And now the November 27, 2018 Board of Education meeting will begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the November 27, 2018 board meeting of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Once again, let's give a hand to Ms. Jessie Manuela Tienchu, one of the many, 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 many shining examples of the brilliant and talented and capable young people who enter our doors each and every day. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, as always, I'd like to remind everyone to turn off your wireless communication devices or put them on mute so that they do not interfere with the microphones and the taping of the meeting. And I will ask Ms. Quinteros Grady if you would please lead us in the board prayer and pledge of allegiance. Please rise.
O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all education policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Quinteros Grady. Mrs. Berkeley, would you please call the roll?
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Ms. Ahmed.
Here.
Ms. Boston.
Present.
Mr. Burrows.
Here.
Ms. Eubanks.
Here.
Ms. Hernandez.
Present.
Mr. Murray.
Present.
Ms. Page.
Present.
Mrs. Quinteros Grady.
Present.
Mr. Valentine. Mr. Wallace.
Present.
Mrs. Williams.
Present.
Dr. Wiseman. Dr. Eubanks.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Berkeley. Colleagues, prior to this evening's meeting and after the posting of the agenda, please note with your approval, we have added an emergency item 8.1 to this evening's agenda. And at that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the November 27, 2018 board meeting agenda as amended. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Thank you. That motion carries. Colleagues, may I have a motion to approve the October 23rd, 2018 board meeting minutes? It's been moved and seconded and thirded to approve the October 23rd board meeting minutes. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say no. Thank you. That motion carries. We will now have a news break entitled Aiming for the Wild Blue Yonder.
a white-knuckle flyer, the cockpit view of a plane touching down at Reagan National Airport might make your anxiety even worse. But have no fear, for the pilot at the controls of this flight simulator is an Air Force Junior ROTC cadet at Charles Herbert Flowers High School, who recently passed all the FAA tests to get his license.
All right, so that test, that was a very difficult test, but so we did a lot of training for it. So that week before I took my test, I just had a good feeling about my test. So I knew that was the day that I could possibly get my license. So it was great.
Namdi may be the only certificated pilot, but he and his 118 fellow cadets are all airborne with ambition. For whether they're learning to march in formation, the 51 freshmen are not as sure-footed as they'll soon be, guiding a drone the length of the Flowers Gymnasium, or feeling the burn of daily calisthenics, there is a discipline and familial feeling that pervades all that they do.
As Major Stovall, my major always tells me, we're a family and we always have to do everything together as a family, like push-ups together, running together, helping each other together. So everything's a community work for us.
We're a group that prides itself on developing leadership skills and reaching out to the community. The approach of the holidays is a perfect opportunity for them to demonstrate their generosity. Filling boxes with canned goods for a shelter in Hyattsville, the aptly named Kitty Hawk Honor Air Society showed off their organizational precision, all the while looking absolutely spotless.
What do you have to check for? What do you have to make sure is just right?
The gig line.
The gig line.
Yeah. All lined up.
Lined up with the buttons.
Yeah.
When you reach 55 knots, I want you to rotate. That means put this dashboard right above the horizon, climb to 1,000 feet, maintain runway center line. You understand all that? Yes, sir. Okay, Sim 2, you are clear for takeoff.
The Aviation Honors Ground School Commander, Major Patrick Stovall, a licensed flying instructor himself. There are always orders to be barked, pats on the back to be given.
Be mindful of your airspeed.
And examples to be set for what it means to be an upstanding and fit American airman.
7, 8, 9, 10. The best I can hope for these folks is that they graduate and become productive members of society. My job, along with Senior Master Hooker, is to do just that, and we pour into them each and every day. What I do know is that students, cadets, don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care, and I truly care about these guys. So it's important for me to relate that this program is not a recruitment program. We're not trying to get your sons and daughters into the military. What we truly are trying to do is build citizens of character who are dedicated to the service of the community and their nation.
Give a grade to Major Stovall and some of the folks that are your instructors, because I'm pretty impressed that they care so much about you guys. Are they great guys?
Of course, this is not propaganda at all. They're really great people. Sometimes you might get tired of them, but it's just showing that they care about you a lot. I've seen them really care about how we develop ourselves as leaders, and that's really what Major Stovall and CMS Sergeant are about.
And while Namdi already knows what his dream job would be.
One of my dream destinations is Creech Air Force Base in Nevada. I want to fly a drone.
What does that mean?
So I want to fly the MQ-9 Predator for the military.
And Dumibi is still weighing her options.
Honestly, I did this program because I wanted to join the Air Force after college. I know people say that you should go in right after high school, but I wanted to get my degree first, then go to college and serve in the Air Force and the military.
Yeah. I have to ask you, one of your colleagues got his pilot's license. Would you like to get a pilot's license?
Really, flying wasn't what I was looking at, but like looking at how he got his license, it looks really cool, and how he's getting exposure to different colleges and stuff. Like, it makes me want to think like, yeah, I want to fly planes now. I want to do what he's doing.
Each of the Air Force ROTC cadets has earned their wings in respect, cordiality, and high-flying teamwork. So, on some future flight, the voice welcoming you aboard and reminding you to buckle your seatbelt just might be a pilot who got his or her start at a high school named for Charles Herbert Flowers, a noted airman himself. How proud he would be. This is Dave Zarin reporting. Have a nice flight.
All right, let's give a round of applause. How about those young people, and how about the talented and committed adults serving them? That, my friends, is the definition of college and career ready. All kinds of college opportunities, all kinds of career opportunities. And I know that when I get on the next flight, I'll feel really good to have that young man behind the pilot seat. So thank you for that. Colleagues, I will now move on to the report of the chair. I'll start tonight, as always, remembering our members of our PGCPS family that have passed on and honoring their lives. I have the name of some here, though I'm certainly not all, that some of you and throughout our community are thinking about now. So please join me in thinking about these folks. Rochelle McKenzie, Child Care Assistant at Rosaryville Elementary School. Leonard Marshall, Custodian at Eleanor Roosevelt High School. Miriam Hicks, mother of our colleague and Director of Internal Audit, Michelle Winston. David Brensel, twin brother of Patty Holich, the Administrative Assistant to the Chief Accountability Officer. Richmond Myrick Jr., former principal at Largo High School. Ivan Jones, building supervisor at Robert Frost Elementary School. Tom Smith, former principal of Vansville Elementary School. Demetrius Calhoun, substitute teacher at Samuel P. Massey Academy. And Michael White, teacher at Bladensburg High School. Our thoughts and prayers go out to their families. Please join me in a moment of silence honoring their lives and the lives of the loved ones we've lost. Thank you, my friend. And thank you all for voting in this most important election. The local, state, and national results have such important consequences to every single one of us every day in our community. And we hope and pray that our young people continue to be involved and engaged in the political process, as well as all of our citizens. And here at the very local level, I want to start by congratulating Ms. Sonia Williams, who was reelected to serve her constituents in District 9 as their chosen representative of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Congratulations, Sonia. I want to acknowledge and congratulate Ms. Pamela Boozer Strother, Mr. Joshua Thomas, and Ms. Belinda Queen, who've also won elections to the Board of Education. And we know, give them a round, thank you. We know that they will serve with honor and distinction. And I want to take a little bit of time to acknowledge the service of several of our departing board members this evening. I'd like to thank each of you for your commitment, your sacrifice, and your exemplary service in the duty that you've performed to our community. Mahatma Gandhi has said the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. We know well, each and every one of us who do this service, the time and the effort and the toil and commitment that it takes, and the love and commitment that we each put into this. And so I want to take a few minutes. First, I'll say a couple of words myself, and then allow my honored colleagues to say a few words to their community and their constituents. I want to start first with our District 3 representative, Denora Hernandez. I'll say what I have always cherished about Denora Hernandez is she doesn't always say a lot, but you don't need to when you're almost always the smartest one in the room. And we've been in a lot of meetings where we talk for a really long time. And then Denora would finally speak up, and we'd say, if you'd have said that a half hour ago, we'd got a lot farther along. Her concise thoughts and her intelligence, her commitment as an alum of this great county school district has been such a tremendous asset to this board and to this community. So thank you, congratulations. Thank you for your service, Ms. Hernandez. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Eubanks, for those kind words. I wanted to do something a little different as, I guess, departing remarks. I had the extreme honor of representing District 3, which, as you may or may not know, is densely populated by an international community. So with that said, I wanted to make my remarks in Spanish because I don't think it's been done on this dais before, as well as I know we have members of the community and some students from our dual immersion schools who come and speak to us in Spanish, so I wanted to reciprocate that. Buenas noches. Ha sido un gran honor a representar el Distrito 3. Es el distrito en que crecí, en que todavía vivo y en que vive mi familia. Estos últimos 4 años han sido una experiencia absoluta. Pero hoy mi mensaje es para la comunidad internacional y inmigrante. Le pido que por favor no permita que falten de la representación, porque no vamos a tener ya no vamos a tener miembros en la Junta que son latinos. Entonces, le pido que por favor sigan exigiendo el esfuerzo para sus niños, que continúen enviando esos correos electrónicos en su idioma, que continúen exigiendo que alguien hable en su idioma, y es importante hoy más que nunca sabiendo cómo está el estado de esta nación. Todavía estoy con ustedes y sigo siendo miembro de la comunidad. So recuerden que la gente unida jamás será vencida, y le pido que por favor sigan
Board of
adelante.
Education's first meeting of the Budget and Operations Committee, formerly named the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee for the Board of Education.
Any way we can turn off that sound, please?
I am joined by Committee Member Carolyn Boston, District 6, and Committee Member Sonia Williams, District 9. And joining us electronically
do the guys in the back
is
know
Committee
that this
Member
is playing
Emmett
out here?
from District 5. And
Just in the back. Okay, thank you. Hey, there you go. There you go. How rude of you to interrupt Mr. Wallace like that. Oh, that was
No, and that was it. I
apologize.
wish my colleagues the best of luck. I know District 3 is in great hands with Miss Pamela Boozer-Struther, and I plan on, giving you guys a ring whenever I see some stuff popping up. So, best of luck. Thank you.
If you could also turn the lights back up for us since we don't have a show. There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, I want to give Lupe Quinteros-Grady a chance to speak. Lupe has always been one who goes a mile a minute if she says a complete sentence, there's usually 4 or 5 ideas embedded in that one sentence. She's always thinking about new and different and creative ways. And for those who don't know about the fact that many of us have so many other responsibilities outside of the board, that we are so fortunate to have not only a local leader and educator and activist, but a nationally and internationally recognized educator and community activist in the work that she does tirelessly outside of the board, in addition to the incredible commitment that she's made to this Board of Education. Lupe, indeed, this board thanks you for your service, and we will miss your energy, your commitment, and creativity, but we know you won't be far, and we'll keep up with you. Ms. Grady.
Thank you for this opportunity to share. I want to basically say thank you to so many people. This has been an incredible experience. I definitely want to thank District 2, and it's been an honor to serve you. But I think, my motto has been, blessed are the peacemakers. And I've kept that because being in this role is very challenging. It's not like you can come into this role and someone kind of gives you a script of what you do and what you don't do. You have to be willing to learn, to dive into the issues, and it's complicated. I recently had the honor to go see Michelle Obama Becoming, and it was so inspiring. And I thought about some of the things that she was sharing in parallel to some of my experience as a result of, I never considered really that I would run for office, right? And you do these things that are just like a stretch. She calls it a swerve. She calls it, you pivot. You do things outside that are a stretch. And this was a stretch for me, and one which I think has made me a better person. I don't leave here. I feel like I do things for reflecting. I've been reflecting a lot, and I wrote a long list of people that I have met as a result of being in this role. And so I take it that I am taking with me so many relationships and so many wins and so much that I've learned, regardless of the challenges and the ups and downs, and sometimes the complexity of how people may not understand where you're coming from and how people interpret however it looks. But I know that for me, I've taken pride in the work, and I've taken pride in conducting myself in such where I've done the work with integrity, and I really, really have been focused on the students. And I want to give a little shout out to a couple of folks really quick, definitely to Amber, who's not here. I'm sure she's not going to miss my all my emails on Sunday and my calls in the morning on Monday, so that we could get the week going and have a plan of what was going to happen that week. But she was so patient and just a joy to work with. Shout out to Dr. Watts, right? That's I have to say, anytime when you have to come to a meeting at 8 in the morning and be there at 10 p.m. at night, I have to give you a shout out. I really just don't take that for granted. I really have appreciated you being next to me at different meetings where we're just really teaching people about capital improvements and master feasibility plans, and I'm trying to learn all these different things that I don't have no clue, but you were right there, and it was just great to have that support, and I don't take it for granted. Christian Rhodes, we started together 4 years ago, and I appreciate it. You have so many external meetings that things come at you from so many different angles. And so just you help me sometimes prepare, or just giving me perspective so that I can go into a meeting prepare. I appreciate that a lot. And Dr. Talley, who's not here, I drove him crazy, and I know I drove my colleagues crazy, policy committee with recess. Everybody was like, she talked about recess one more time. But it got done. Administrative policy went into effect last year, and there's more work to do, but I appreciate Dr. Talley's patience and him convening people so we can have debates and talk about the issues. And Dr. Golson, it was great. I got to work with you before you became the interim CEO in your role as our liaison for the Academic Achievement Committee. And I really enjoyed having you there. You were able to serve as the liaison and really bring folks before us where we were able to dive into issues, and I really enjoyed that part of the work, just really being able to just learn the issues that our teachers or our students are facing. So it's just been an incredible experience. Definitely, Mary's no longer with us, but Mary Kay, we kind of worked in the community schools and worked with some of the members of PGCA. It was an incredible experience. We wrestled. We looked at that document so many times. The academic achievement with my colleague Sonia, college guy, that thanks to the head of the Department of Counseling, they just took that on, worked on for a year. It went live, and I can go on. And I'm excited about the partnerships I've made as well. Higher achievement is going to go into effect this summer. There's going to be a Greenbelt Middle School, and that's going to serve 60 to 80 students annually. This is a stellar program that's been in D.C., Virginia, Baltimore, and we finally got them to come to Prince George's County, where they should be. And so I'm excited about that work. And of course, I do want to be invited when William Work opens. I really would love to join you guys. So there's so much work, lot of work that has been done, and I'm sure that it will continue to continue. This good work will continue. And I want to just, encourage my colleagues that regardless of the different perspectives that we may have, the different lenses in which we seem to see things at times, or the frustrations, that we can put that aside and put our children first, the students first, because I know that we have the potential in Prince George's County, and we are already doing a lot of great things that people just have no idea, and we need to voice that, and we need to share that. And I think we owe it to, our students in our communities who are watching what we do. So I just pretty much want to say, I know that the work will continue. I wish you all the very, very best, and I know that you will do great. And I do want to encourage you all to come together and advocate for Kerwin Commission. There will be ACLU is having a forum on the 29th, but this is a good opportunity for the board to come together and advocate hard and have a united front in regards to so many of the issues that we sort of wrestle right here locally that we can influence at the state level. Teacher compensation, kindergarten, alternative education, CT, and I can go on. That's part of the package. So I say all of that. There's a lot that's been done, a lot that we'll continue to do, a lot of work that you all have to do, and now I get to be on the other side and hold you accountable. So I'm going to enjoy that part. So I thank you for allowing me to serve. I thank you to my colleagues for just being able to be a partner with you. It's been an incredible journey that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Quinteros-Grady. And finally, I want to acknowledge and ask Carolyn Boston to say a few words. A little bit of personal privilege on my part. In the time I've been on the board as board chair, I've done a few smart things, and some would say a few dumb things, but none smarter than when I advocated that Carolyn Boston should serve as vice chair of the Board of Education. I did so because it didn't take me long from working with Carolyn to see how tirelessly hard she worked, how committed she was, not to politics or division, but to getting the work done to move this great district forward. And when you work with colleagues like this, you always hope and expect to have positive professional relationships. And when you're lucky, those positive relationships turn into great friendships. And when you're really blessed, like I have been with Carolyn Boston, those great friendships turn into family. And I feel as close to Carolyn Boston today as I do to my own sisters and brothers. I thank you for, I swear, and I'm just talking not here, but in all of our travels around the country, I haven't seen a board member who works harder, who's been around more. You name the committee, Carolyn's on it. You name the meeting, Carolyn's there. You name the task force, Carolyn's on it. That contribution will be greatly missed by this community and by this board, but your tireless effort has not been in vain and will not be forgotten. Thank you very much for your service and for what you've done for this community. Ms. Boston.
I told myself I wasn't going to cry. If you just give me a minute, think myself together. And these tears is because I'm so passionate about the work that I've done. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have served on this board. I prepared a few words. You know, I don't say a lot. You don't think I do, but but I do have a lot to say today. First, I want to thank God for giving me the passion and opportunity to help others. I am thankful and blessed that the constituents of District 6 voted for me 8 years ago to serve as their school board member. It was clear then, and it's still clear today, that my task is to be a voice for my community, to support our children in all that they do, to assist the work of the amazing Prince George's County Public Schools staff, and to advocate for parents within the system. My time here on the board was magnificent and God sent. I have built strong relationships with some of my colleagues here on this board. Thank you for your commitment, hard work, and dedication. Thank you so much, my fellow board members, for sharing your thoughts, skill sets, talents, expertise, hopes, and concerns with me. It was valued and truly appreciated. To my chair, my partner, my new brother, thank you for the many hours of strong debates. I believe we learned a lot from each other as we led this board. To the board staff, Thea, Aisha, Amber, Niece, and Erica, and especially Brianna, thank you for taking care of me over the years. I know that task was not easy, but your patience and hard work has always been appreciated and will be truly missed. Next, I would like to thank the amazing administrators, teachers, and support staff that work tirelessly to make Prince George's County Public Schools a system that we can be proud of. I have met and acquired some amazing friendships while engaging in this complex work. In partnership with the board and the administration, we have advanced a plan for the ongoing improvement of our school system. At times, they were and will continue to be bumps on the road, but I am thankful and confident that all of you will remain focused on the mission of serving our young people. Under the strong leadership of Dr. Ghost and her amazing, talented team, I believe the future of our children and our system is in good hands. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all that you are and you do each and every day. To the constituents of District 6, I am honored and humbled that you chose me to be your board member for 8 years. In that time, we have strengthened district communications, presented informational workshops, immediately addressed issues that were brought to my attention, launched the annual College and Career Summit for the past 5 years, advocated for needed school repairs, improved outside partnerships to support our schools, worked to strengthen our CTE programs, and advocated for apprenticeship opportunities for our students. You are all a strong and vibrant community, and I am pleased to have had the opportunity to serve you and will continue to work alongside of you as a District 6 resident. To my beautiful and loving family, my 2 daughters, my 4 granddaughters, and my 2 great-granddaughters, thank you so much for sharing me with my extended family. This journey began because of you. Know that this is not an end to a journey, but the beginning of a new journey for us. I could not have done this work without your love and continuous support. Special thanks to my good friend, my new son, Dr. Tony Johnson, for all your support on my community projects and your professional guidance. To my goddaughter, Kim, thank you for being a part of my extended family. I love you all. You have been my strength and my motivation through the good days and the bad days. During the last 8 years on the board and the 6 years as the vice chair, I have learned a lot about this work, about my leadership and myself. I will take with me the many lessons learned, relationships created, and the goals and ambitions shared to the next chapter in my life. As a resident of this great county, we will continue to advance high quality teaching and learning, advocate for more fair compensation for all staff, expand funding or explore new avenues for new construction to address our aging infrastructure, fight for meaningful policies that make a difference, and keep our children and parents in the forefront for all that we do. In closing, the statement isn't a goodbye. There's a lot of work ahead. Instead, I will say take care, and I will see you soon. You all hold a special place in my thoughts and in my heart, and for that I am eternally grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And as one final thank you, I'm going to ask Mr. Wallace, who has some plaques to share with each of our departing board members, to share those plaques. And board members, please join me up front for a picture. Thank you. All right, and to conclude my chair's report, just a couple of upcoming announcements. We have on December 5th, 2018 at 5 p.m., we have a capital improvement program meeting, and on December 13th, 2018 at 6 p.m., the board will be presented with the interim CEO's FY 2020 budget presentation. Please do come out for each of those events. That will be held here at the Sasser Building in the boardroom. Persons interested in speaking to meetings of the board, please register using our online registration tool found on the PGCPS website under the Board tab. Click the Quick Links tab that reads Public Participation in Board Meetings and Hearings. Registrations are taken on a first-come, first-served basis, starting 4 days prior to the scheduled meeting, up to 2.5 hours prior to the meeting's start time. For more information or to register directly, call 301-952-6115. That concludes my remarks, and I will now yield the floor to Dr. Golson for the Interim Chief Executive Officer's report.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to begin by extending my heartfelt appreciation to the Board Chair, Vice Chair, Carolyn Boston, District 2 Member Lupe Grady, and District 3 Member Danera Hernandez for your commitment and support of Prince George's County Public Schools. I have enjoyed working with each of you while serving in various roles and now as the Interim Chief Executive Officer, whether it was through the Academic Subcommittee for Achievement or making sure that there was equity and expansion on our career and technical education program, providing diverse opportunities for our students, and most importantly, asking those hard questions and holding us accountable for making the right decisions for children. I do still converse with former board members, so I hope you will still continue to take my phone calls. I am sure that this will not be our last journey together because all three of you are advocates for excellence in education, and for that I'm grateful. November 2nd marked the end of first quarter, and on November 20th, report cards were released. Just like our teachers and students, I too assess where we are as a school system and how I'm progressing in the 5 focus areas established on my onboarding, which are academic achievement, high-performing workforce, safe and supportive environments, family and community engagement, and organizational effectiveness. Later this week, I'll share that analysis with our staff, parents, and community members through an online quarterly newsletter as a way to continue to foster openness and a way of being transparent. Congratulations to our Office of Communication staff for winning 2 awards of excellence and 2 awards of merit, the top 2 awards in this year's Chesapeake chapter of the National School Public Relations Association competition. Each fall, the organization recognizes the school districts for outstanding communication efforts via print, electronic publications, website design, and videography. Lastly, with the weather season fast approaching, and it came quicker than we thought, be sure to sign up for emergency alerts so you'll be notified of any school closures or delays. This concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goldson. We now move on to the public comment part of our meeting, public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. Colleagues, we have 15 registered public comment speakers this evening. Quick note before I start, you've been registered to speak in public comment forum where the Board of Education will listen to your comments, but the board will not address your comments. You must speak on the topic for which you have been registered. All registered speakers will have 3 minutes to make their presentation. At the sound of the buzzer, please complete your final sentence only, and registered speakers may not relinquish any part of their speaking time to another registered or unregistered individual. And we ask that you please address speakers by title and not their direct names. And please, if you have your comments in writing, leave them to the right of the podium so that we can save them for the record. And at that, let's begin with public speaking. We have Ms. Giselle Spurlock, 9th grade student at Gwynn Park High School. Giselle, is that Giselle? That's not Giselle either. It's Giselle, I'm sorry, it's Giselle Spurlock here. Okay, let's move on to our next registered speaker, Noah Millhouse, 3rd grade student at Phyllis E. Williams Spanish Immersion. Can we get that mic adjusted for the very tall Mr. Millhouse? Can we make sure, hold on.
Buenos noches, Dr. Goldson, Dr. Ebanks y miembros de la Junta Escolar. Hola, me llamo Noah Millhouse y estoy en 3er grado en la Escuela de Inmersión en Español Phyllis Williams. Gracias por permitir que los programas de inmersión en español continúen. Gracias por permitirnos a mí y a otras personas aprender español. Lo que más me gusta de aprender español es que puede hablar con otras personas en un nuevo idioma. También me gusta que estoy mejor hablando, leyendo y hablando con personas de países de habla hispana. Cuando crezca podré ayudar más personas a contarles acerca de Dios. También planeo aprender a hablar muy bien en japonés, árabe, francés, mandarín y portugués. Gracias por darme la oportunidad de aprender español. Es un lenguaje muy divertido para aprender. Por favor, visítame en la clase de tag de señora Calo para que puedas aprender español conmigo. Gracias por permitirnos a mí y a mis amigos aprender en español. Por favor, déjame aprender español y otros idiomas en la escuela intermedia, la escuela secundaria y la escuela universidad. Wadan. Wadan is bye in Arabic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Millhouse. For those of us present, company included, who did not take Spanish immersion, we will ask our Spanish-speaking colleagues for a translation a little later this evening. Our next speaker is Jeremy Phillips, 11th grade student at Eleanor Roosevelt High School.
Bad teachers are a disservice to students everywhere and can affect them negatively, sometimes for life. Teachers that fit under this category include those that act off of how they feel as opposed to holding themselves to a higher standard of professionalism or being held to a higher standard of professionalism. Teachers like this are a liability to the educational system and stifle the growth of students alike. These are also teachers constantly allowed to fail students without being evaluated or penalized. They are sometimes also found to purposefully degrade students allowed in front of classmates or pull them to the side to make inappropriate comments without being detected. These teachers are those given too much power and too little responsibility. Students are often left defenseless to those teachers. It's gotten to the point where, in order to succeed, some students are expected to and forced to behave with more dignity than the adults in the classroom. It's considered normal when students are suspended for minor infractions and teachers' actions and shortcomings are hardly given attention at all. Bad teachers are those that turn off students from learning and would rather see them on the streets than in the classroom. They set students up for failure. These teachers force students to make the decision between skipping class or sometimes dropping out of school altogether. They make it hard to come to class every day and can ruin your day. They make the minds of even the most avid learners drowsy upon instruction. These teachers can also be said to overcomplicate assignments and material for students out of spite. They either don't understand or purposefully abuse the long-term effects that they have on students. They do the bare minimum and object to going above and beyond. The only thing good about bad teachers is that they make good teachers shine brighter.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Phillips. Our next speaker is Dolores Millhouse, Parent Language Immersion Coalition founder. Parent and Language Immersion Coalition founder.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Golson, Dr. Eubanks, and cherished members of the Board of Education. I come before you once again, and I feel very privileged to stand here and continue to repeat myself and thank you and applaud you for the work that you have continued to do. But tonight, I need to step away from my speech because what's important is not that you understand that I'm coming again to ask you and thank you for the work that you've done in providing programming that parents like myself can be proud of and that we continue to push you for. But I need you to understand who I am as a person, because what I am first and foremost is not just a wife, but I stand here every month because of my pride as a mother. I'm proud of the work that my children are exhibiting in school. I wanted to be a third grade parent dropout this quarter because Common Core was the death of me. And imagine having to do that in another language that is not my first language. And to listen to the parents that I work with every day push and applaud our children for what they're doing, but also stand behind the wonderful teachers that we have. And I think about, and I'll put Mr. Rhodes out there and say when I first met him, he just didn't believe that it could happen. And he told me, you're just a parent. And the most powerful thing, and he didn't mean any disrespect from it, he just didn't understand the power of a mother. And when I say that the pride that I have as a mother, that I stand before this school board and I appreciate the work that you continue to do, there's a level of accountability that we will have you all to stand up to and understand that what you saw before you was someone that I'm raising to not just be transparent on a mediocre level, but he will be a global leader just like his sister. And every parent that's not standing here with me today is also backing me because their children may not be speaking another language, but it's the science and technology that we're looking for. It's the integrity in our teachers. It's the commitment from every individual that sits in the seats in front of us, that stand behind us, the people that teach our children, that we have to stand behind and understand that together we have to do this. So in my speech, it talks about supporting the work that the task force put together last year. I want you to support that. I need the programs to go from K to 5 to 6 to 8 to 9 to 12 because we're not combating what's in our backyards. We have to prepare our students for a global economy. We have to prepare them to excel in a global world. And global doesn't mean Prince George's County. And so I thank you for the work. I will continue to stand here and continue to bring Army of Parents with me. And we ask you to commit to making sure that our children have the best, that you understand that the pride that we have as parents is the same pride that we need you all to have in teaching our children and safeguarding our children and protecting them. Because if not, I'm coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Milhouse. Our next speaker is Valerie Randall.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Valerie Randall, and I'm the president of the PTSA at the Potomac High School. And I'm here to bring light to some of the school's bad conditions and some of the current needs of the school. The main part of the building is obsolete at 53 years old, so everything is just old. And remember, as I go through this list, some of the bad conditions our scholars have to deal with are the same conditions your employees have to deal with. Old HVAC system, poor ventilation in some areas, stairwells with no lighting, fire doors that don't work, water fountains covered because they're unusable, old outdated shower areas used to store old and outdated materials, and of course our friend's Mickey. Dr. Golson, you're welcome to come back for a tour as an alumni. I'm sure you'll recognize quite a few things there. The football field is also in extremely poor conditions, and our athletes are in serious risk of injury. Promises of a new turf field and stadium lights and other school improvements are constantly not kept. On several occasions, I've walked the hallways of this school with school board members and maintenance staff to point out these conditions, and all I hear is lack of funding and personnel. Quick fixes are not the answer. In fact, they become a waste of time and money. The building needs to be replaced or the school completely renovated to modern standards. On a side note, the school system needs a better system for tracking work orders. Now, for current funding needs, a full-time nurse, which every school should have, a full-time ESOL counselor, because the school has a very large population of parents and guardians that do not speak English or very little. So communication is difficult for intake and counseling those families. Funds to increase maintenance staff and school security. With a population of 1,200 plus, 3 full-time security officers is just not enough. The parents are extremely concerned and want immediate and quality changes. Why are the bright stars of tomorrow not granted and afforded the same opportunity to be educated like many of their peers in not too many distant schools? A quote from Michelle Obama: "Kids know when they are not valued and feel some sort of way." It's amazing how well the scholars at Potomac do in spite of the bad conditions. I'm a proud mother of a Potomac High School senior that attends Prince George's Community College as part of the dual enrollment program. The Potomac High School community demands equality in educational funding and support. Potomac High School is treated unfairly, and in essence, it is a forgotten school. The school's geographic location in Prince George's County should not be a reason to treat the scholars any differently. If anything, they deserve more. Thank you for listening, and happy holidays to all.
Thank you, and happy holidays to you. Our next speaker is Michelle Clark.
Good evening. At the last board meeting, we spoke about bargaining for the common good. Just to remind you what that is, bargaining for the common good is a model in which students, parents, educators, and other interested community members unite to advocate on behalf of quality schools. Bargaining for the common good is not a typical labor management bargaining process. It will go well beyond issues of compensation and working conditions, though those things are critical and will be carefully negotiated. We believe this model will help us create the schools that Prince George's County deserves. Our key issues are fair compensation for highly trained educators. Based upon our research, here in Prince George's County, we are earning 10 to 15% less than all other jurisdictions in the greater DC area. Not to mention the 4 steps we're still behind. Sensible workloads. You did reduce the elementary school's grades to 2 grades per week. Thank you very much. But our middle and high school teachers are feeling very left out in that one. As a matter of fact, I have a friend in the back who has 107 students, which would mean 321 grades per week. That becomes pretty excessive pretty quickly. Less testing and more learning. Some of these tests need to be streamlined. When I was in 1st grade, we gave a test, a pre-test for our math, and then we had a pre-test for SLO. It doesn't make sense to be double testing pre-tests. If you got to do one, why not use it for the other? Healthy and safe learning environments. Again, as most of you know, I was injured at school. I was told in order to get assault leave because a child hung off my arm, I had to go to the police station and file charges against a 5-year-old. I would have been laughed out of the building. But it doesn't seem fair to have to go through workers' comp or the sick leave bank when the injury was a result of an assault. Smaller class sizes. We know this is not a negotiating issue, but we also know that it's something that needs to be addressed. At William Paker right now, their 3rd grade classes are 30 apiece. A more effective and useful evaluation, expansion of restorative practices, professional autonomy and voice for educators. Because we have a lot of meaningful discussions that must take place to get to these issues, it's important that we start negotiation as soon as possible. Our educators, students, and community cannot afford to wait any longer. We sent an intent to bargain letter last week requesting to begin next month in December, and we hope that you guys will help us out with that. And can I just have one moment of personal privilege? I just wanted to say thank you to my board member, Carolyn Boston, for her service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clark. Our next speaker is Suzanne Johnson.
All right. Good evening. My name is Suzanne Johnson. I'm a parent that lives in Bowie, which is in District 5, and my daughter is in 2nd grade at Phyllis C. Williams Spanish Immersion School in District 6. So I look forward to speaking to anyone from those districts or the rest of the board. The parents at our school and other immersion programs have made a long-term commitment to a bilingual education for our students because we recognize the cognitive, social, academic, and employment benefits of being bilingual and biliterate. I want to thank the PGCPS administration and board for their prior support including our current funding for Spanish and Chinese immersion programs to the 4th grade, and support of funding in the fiscal year 20 budget to extend the programs to 5th grade. Beyond that, it is important that we further expand the Spanish and Chinese immersion programs through 12th grade and continue to support the French immersion K through 12 and international baccalaureate programs. I'm requesting your support of funding to align with the PGCPS Language Immersion Task Force report recommendations. Specifically, we need a centrally located building to support the projected growth of our Spanish and Chinese immersion middle school programs and a high school program track that combines French, Spanish, and Chinese programs. For middle school, we are requesting an international baccalaureate middle years program that offers multiple pathways to proficiency to include Chinese and Spanish language arts and content courses. For high school, we are requesting an international baccalaureate program that consolidates the French, Spanish, and Chinese program into one location. We are requesting that the high school also provide dual enrollment opportunities. Without your support for these recommendations, the Spanish and Chinese programs would end at grade 5. This would not only curtail the Spanish or Chinese proficiency of our students, but also limit the other cognitive and academic benefits of a bilingual education. Our French immersion schools are already graduating globally competent, competitive students with advanced level proficiency in languages. Now we must also equip our Spanish and Chinese immersion students to compete in the constantly evolving global economy. The success of our language immersion programs is a key component in making PGCPS a competitive school system that prepares our students to contribute to our diverse communities with the essential language and cognitive skills that are in high demand by employers in health, education, government, and many other industries. Our language immersion parents are invested and committed to the success of the county's immersion programs. And I want to thank you for joining us in this investment in our children's future by strengthening PGCPS through the expansion of the Spanish and Chinese immersion programs through 12th grade. And my daughter doesn't want to speak because she's a little shy, but she wanted to share with you that she's really enjoying her time at the school. She loves math, and she loves being able to speak to others in another language and participating in all the great things happening at our school. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Our next speaker is Teresa Dudley, President of Prince George's County Educators Association.
Good evening. And for those of you who don't know, I did move into Lupe's school board district a little while ago. And I want to say to all of you who are leaving, thank you for your service. Being an elected official is not an easy job. Being president of the union is not an easy job. But I just want you to know that it takes courage to step forward and to lead, and I want to thank you for that. Jeremy Phillips kind of stole my thunder a few moments ago. Imagine if I said to you all, you're all ugly. You don't know how to do your jobs, and you smelled when you came in here today. That would be very mean, toxic, and our educators in Prince George's County have been treated so badly. We have had situations where administrators pull teachers aside and say mean things to them and don't put it in writing because they don't want to go through the process of progressive discipline. I'll just cuss them out. I'll jump up in their face and tell them, hey, I run this school. He spoke about, everywhere he spoke about teachers, I could interject administrators. Our teachers are bullied by excessive workloads, being told if they don't upload their FFT formatted lesson plans up into Google Docs and have all of these lesson plans printed out on the desk, which, by the way, they're looking to find a paper in the buildings for that, or a copy or a printer that they could print it out on, in FFT format, which should only be used for observations. I've got teachers who've been given even more lesson plan instructions today. I just left a school that I was in tears when I left and so were the teachers, about how can a teacher be asked to do a lesson plan for the ELL students above grade level, below grade level, and on grade level for all of their children in FFT format. At what time do they get to sleep? It's ridiculous. The same things that you're asking us to do in bullying on the teachers, it's the same thing that he's saying. When you're treated bad, it's transferable. So I'm sorry I said those mean things to you tonight. And I hope that you don't turn and transfer that negative energy onto somebody else. But right now, we're feeling awful. We're feeling awful that we're not being treated like professionals. So as you prepare the budget, please remember to treat us like professionals. Put the money in the budget to restore the steps to the teachers that have been here and have been here for a long time. Develop a bullying policy for staff. We do not have one. I did the research. We have one for children, but not for staff-to-staff bullying, and that's a problem.
Thank you.
Treat us like professionals. I'm almost done. I got one sentence. I promise you, Dr. Eubanks. Allow those that need to work 11 or 12 months, such as our professional school counselors, our PPWs, and others. In the budget, please include putting that status back so that they can complete their jobs. They're already short-staffed now. Thank you, and if I don't see you before the holidays, God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dudley. Our next speaker is Mike Kravitz, Benjamin Floyd, PTO.
Someone already stole my thunder on this one, but in her recently released memoir, Michelle Obama writes, "Now that I'm an adult, I realize that kids know at a very young age when they're being devalued, when adults aren't invested enough to keep them learning. Their anger over it can manifest itself as unruliness, but it's hardly their fault. They aren't bad kids. They're just trying to survive bad circumstances. Truer words may never have been spoken." And I want you to hold those words in your heart, as I believe that they're a very important way to view how parents kind of look at the system of PGCPS. I mean, I'll hazard a guess that we've all dealt with that person, right? Person, for whatever reason, they don't value themselves. They're unpleasant, rude, selfish, whatever. They aren't necessarily bad people, but they're jaded, cynical. And what Michelle's talking about here are those people are taught that cynicism. They're taught to devalue themselves at a young age, school age. In her example, she's in second grade. She's talking about in her book. And it's that source of that cynicism I want to talk about tonight a little bit. We talk about the importance of arts integration, STEAM, we call it now instead of STEM. Studies have talked about the value of teaching arts alongside the sciences and integrated with the sciences. And in fact, on NPR just this morning, they had an article about how Virginia has decided to accelerate opening a new Virginia Tech campus in Crystal City because of Amazon's new HQ2 plans, and they've accelerated that. That's a $250 million investment. Now, where is that in this county? Not $250 million necessarily, but where is that intentional, thoughtful stream of funding? And for my part, and the reason I'm here, is we have art specialty schools that don't have dedicated arts funding. Now, I'm not sure if you heard, but I'm trying to get an auditorium built at Floyd. But really, this problem is deeper than just the facilities piece. We have additional funding needs for the arts on top of what standard student-based budgeting dictates. We have a piano lab with no pianos. We have a choir and drama departments who need to pay for licenses for music to perform. We have families paying out of pocket to fund school performances. I'm talking about scripts, set construction, transportation, sheet music, even the batteries to the microphones. Moreover, our teachers are bound by the approved vendors list. Instead of going out to like Amazon or something like that to buy supplies, which we're a newer school, we're not grandfathered in like others. But the bottom line is that our students and families shouldn't be paying for this. It should be coming out of school budgets. But with the current construct, we have no choice to show our children that we value them, like Michelle's talking about, without coming out of our own pockets. So I'd be preaching to the choir right now if I said, oh, we all need more school funding. Everybody knows that. I mean, we're all here for that exact reason, right? We know that, but it's about priorities. Prioritizing how we spend the money we have, and there's lots of good things that need money, teacher pay for one, for sure, but we need an arts line item. We need more funding for the arts in the county in particular, because I'm representing Feloy, I'll say for my school, but in general, we need more money, and we need to have looser restrictions, especially for arts teachers with respect to getting, all right, I'm finishing up for you.
Thank you very much.
Supplies, thanks.
All right, thanks, Ms. Gravel. Our next speaker is Yvonne Bachich.
Good evening, Dr. Goldson, members of the board, educators, and parents. Over the summer, the PGCPS administration made a decision to change our grading policy. We were already responsible for posting 2 grades per subject, per student, per week. The policy was changed to 3 grades, thereby increasing the workload, I think, by 30%. I believe this policy change had something to do with the mistaken notion that 1 more grade per week would somehow improve accountability. Of course, nothing can be further from the truth, which can be verified by Finland, our favorite country to point to when it comes to educational excellence. We educators in PGCA signed a petition, our board of directors sent a letter, and we spoke here before you. And due to your wisdom, the policy went back to 2 grades, but only for elementary grades. Why? A middle school and high school chopped liver? Please, excuse my Bronx attitude. It makes no sense because it is not rational. I urge you to give relief to middle and high school teachers just as you did for elementary teachers. And now, for a completely different matter. PGCPS administration has required since the beginning of the school year that teachers watch 22 videos on matters ranging from reporting child abuse to securing information on the internet. I added up the minutes of all 22 videos, and it turns out that the total time is 7.5 hours. That is 1 full workday. Most teachers watch the videos at home, of course. There was no way we were able to carve out that time during teacher orientation days at the beginning of the year. So, we give you 7.5 hours for free, and what do we get? A golden parachute when we retire? As the young people like to say, LOL. So, either pay us for an extra day of work or greatly limit the number of videos. It used to be years ago that we had to watch 3 or 4 videos and they were short. What happened? 22 is better than 4? Okay. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I really do. And I hope that you gave thanks for the outstanding educators of Prince George's County. We actually sacrificed to stay in this county. We could go someplace else, we could get paid more, and I dare say we could get more respect. So, the least we deserve is your respect and your appreciation. And I hope we get that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Roland Roy.
Hello, board. My name is Roland Roy, bus driver. Also standing with me is Mr. James Staples and Miss Denise Brooks, bus drivers. Also with our wonderful bus attendants. We're here tonight to speak on concerns of transporting our kids. I'm from the Garter bus lot. Mr. Staples is from Mullican bus lot, and Mr. Denise from the Garter bus lot. We're here tonight to speak on concerns of transporting our kids and working conditions at the bus lots. By being at ground zero, we can let you know that we are truly short of bus drivers. A lot of drivers have left the county because of pay issues. New drivers during training are not being informed about proration, and upon receiving their first paychecks are disappointed that within a year they leave for employment elsewhere. At bid day this year, the runs on the board were at what I call poverty runs. 5 hours, 5.5 hours, 6 hours. Where's my little certificate at? Got a little certificate. I've been here 10 years. Oh, I have it here. The worst I've seen since I've driven the bus for the county for 10 years. The worst. That's why we have drivers leaving, going to DC public schools, Montgomery County, Metro, and other companies. Drivers are not being paid what they deserve. That's why they are not answering the radio when transportation need help covering runs, and the kids are suffering because of it. Buses are running 30 minutes, sometimes an hour late, picking up kids in the AM and PM. Tax-paying parents do not deserve this kind of service. It would be good if the Director of Transportation and the supervisors be required to have a CDL license to help us transport our kids to school. The office staff at these bus lots are being thrown under the bus and are stressed out because they don't have enough drivers to cover these runs. Parents are complaining, saying that the bus app half of the time don't work. Whoever came up with the bus app should have asked the driver's opinion about it first, because we are the ones that hear from parents when we are doubling runs to pick up our precious kids. We finally get to the bus stop and they say, "Why are you late?" Board, I was asked if you would please look to see if you can do something about the bus trailers that are in such bad condition. Garda bus lot trailer was in such bad condition, it was infested with black mold. We had to move to Robert Garda School and have been there going on 3 years. We were promised a trailer. It was a promised lie. No trailer has come. The school building is where kids go to learn, not to house transportation, the transportation department. We need bus washes. Can you imagine seeing seniors out there driving bus, trying to wash a bus, 60 years old, 65 years old, 77 years old, out there trying to wash a bus? And when we were put into school, they asked us, they gave us one bathroom. Now, this is a supervisor of the county, gave us one bathroom to use, a boiler bathroom.
Thank you, Mr.
We complained, they sent the fire department, they shut it down. Now we have to use the teacher's lounge, which they don't want us in.
Thank you,
So, Dr. Golson, if you elected, transportation start do something, because it's a trap. We in trouble. We at ground zero. We talk to parents. We know what's happening. We know what's happening. We hear Karens and parents at bus lot. Got
Thank
their
you, my friend.
phones looking for the bus. Bus don't even show up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Our next speaker is Katie Downing Powell.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start out by apologizing. My son is a very talkative 2-year-old.
Is your mic on? Just make sure that mic is on.
I was just saying I would like to start out by apologizing. I have a very talkative 2-year-old this evening. Good evening, esteemed board, parents, students, teachers, bus drivers, staff. I am a parent. I am a current, and I've been a resident of Prince George's County my entire life. I grew up through the school system. I love PG County. I love the kids so much. I wanted to be a teacher. I went to school actually to become one. Was slightly disheartened, and but my love of students has never changed. So even though I've changed career paths slightly, I do still work in the community to assist the children. A tutor, I mentor, I'm an aunt full-time. I'm at every parent-teacher conference, every game, every event you can think of. And some of the conditions that I've seen in the classrooms, in the schools, it's kind of deplorable. I have a niece and a nephew who attend Drew Freeman Middle School. Class sizes are an extreme issue. My nephew fell through the cracks. He was in a classroom full of 60+ students and fell through the cracks. And thankfully, my niece is an honor student, but however, she still is on the board of falling through the cracks just because of lack of resources. It's one of those things that you don't really notice until you have kids in the system, how bad certain things are. My nephew played football for the first time this year, and the lack of lights on the fields was a huge deterrent, and a lot of the practices that they could not have this year. It was very difficult when I was speaking with his teacher, how they don't have the resources to take care of technical issues. They have very outdated computers that fail, and they have no one to fix them. They're promised new equipment, and they've been returned empty. And our students and our staff deserve much better. Like I said, I do love Prince George's County. I know we have a lot of improvement that we've made, but we can make a lot more. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Our next speaker is Chien Ni, principal at Excel Academy Public Charter School.
Good evening, Board Chair Eubank, Dr. Golson, and members of the Prince George's County Board of Education. My name is Chien Ni, and I'm the proud principal of Excel Academy Public Charter, home of the Excel Eagles, located in the former Matthew Hansen Elementary School building on Scott Road in Landover. Excel serves 421 students in grades K through 8, with a mission to provide students with standard-based college prep education, with supporting pillars of character development, college prep support, cultural arts, and community partnerships. I came to Excel last year as the school was going through the renewal process. Needless to say, as a new principal in the schoolhouse, I was already learning through many growth opportunities, but especially as a new principal of a charter school going through renewal. However, I was fortunate to have such a wonderful community comprised of a solid team of teachers, caring parents, eager students, support from the charter school office, the instructional directors, and Seed Inc. as our operator. As a result, I'm extremely happy that Excel is being recommended for renewal, and our data from MapR and PARC show that more students are demonstrating proficiency on both assessments from the previous year. On the MapR, we not only had growth, but we were also recognized by the area office as one of the 25 schools with marked growth on MapR from 2017 to 2018. We also showed improvement on the PARC assessment in both math and reading, where the whole school demonstrated growth from 2017 to 2018. Our elementary school students went from performing better than 14% of elementary schools in the state to performing better than 20% of elementary schools in the state. In that same time period, our middle school students went from performing better than 28% of middle schools in the state to performing better than 33% of middle schools in the state. So, while I'm pleased that our trajectory is pointing in the right direction, I am far from being satisfied with this performance. I expect that our students should do what our name says, to excel, and we are working hard to make that happen. This year, some of the measures we're taking to improve student academic performance include providing advanced math to our middle school students, accelerated 1 and foundations for algebra, improving assessment literacy by building capacity through collaborative planning, and increasing the use of technology inside the classroom. This school year, 2018-2019, we newly purchased 100 Chromebooks. Additionally, if renewal is granted, we plan to begin the candidacy process to become an international baccalaureate school during the next charter term, making us the first charter school with an IB program in Prince George's County. In closing, we're looking forward to a charter renewal that our students can truly be Excel Eagles and soar to higher heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Our next speaker is Lisa McDougall, Executive Director of Excel Academy Public Charter School.
Good evening. Good evening, Chairman Eubanks and members of the Prince George's County Board of Education. My name is Lisa Butler McDougall. I serve as president of Seed Excel Charter School, LLC, as the operator of Excel Academy Public Charter School and a parent of 2 former Excel students. We're requesting the approval of Excel Academy's renewal application for a new 3-year term so that we may continue to successfully fulfill our mission to provide students with a standards-based college prep education, which is supported by 4 pillars that Mr. Nee mentioned: character development, college prep support, cultural arts, and community partnerships. The governing board is led by Chairman Clarence Jones, who was unable to be here this evening, but however, we do have 2 of our governing board members present, Ms. Ayanna Franklin, and if you could raise your hand, and Ms. Taia Shabazz, who is our parent representative and the mother of 7th grader Dakari Fleming. One of our main goals related to governance includes remaining faithful to the terms of our charter agreement by providing successful governance, oversight, and financial stability while working with the school leadership to monitor school performance and success. Our application also requested 2 waivers, one for lottery preference for residents living in zip codes 20785 and 20737, and the second for lottery preference for students who are eligible for free and reduced meals. Both waiver requests are in keeping with the Title IX Maryland Charter Law, which states that a public charter school may give greater weight to a student's lottery status if the student is eligible for free and reduced meals or a student with limited proficiency, among other indicators. Our current farms rate is at 70%. We'd like to target more students who are eligible in an effort to bring more resources to the school that are earmarked for programs that have 75%, at least 75% of a farm's population. The second geographic preference waiver is included in the Maryland Charter Law as well, that states that a public charter school may propose a geographic attendance area with a median income that is equal or less than the median income of the county for the public charter school. Our request meets those guidelines as well. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the area median income for Prince George's County is $75,000. Both zip codes have lower incomes at $60,000 for Riverdale and $50,000 for Landover, which is the 20785. The zip codes we are chosen is one where the school is currently located and one where the school we're looking to build a new facility. Our request for preference for our vacant seats annually, which is only 20% of our vacant seats annually, which is 86% of our targeted population of 430 students, amounting to less than 10 students per grade per year. We're well beneath the threshold that the law also allows, which is up to 35%. Our goal is to provide services to strengthen the families and success of Excel with wraparound services that include emergency food, health education, financial capability training, and housing counseling, among other initiatives. We also believe that our request is in keeping with the school system's mission to provide great education that empowers all students and contributes to thriving communities. The external support that we want to provide is to have more low to moderate income families empowered with thriving communities by strengthening those families. So thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Our final registered speaker this evening is Tawana Phillips.
I'm asked that you be patient with me. I am a little disabled, and I did have a fall trying to get here tonight. My son and I walked from the courthouse to get here, and I fell in the interim. In the meantime, I look forward to other schools across the county being comparable to Wise, Flowers, and Roosevelt's. Students shouldn't have to compete to attend a thriving school. Poor or bad teaching, a parent's worst nightmare. It happens in every school. There's that teacher or those teachers that are not good at their craft. Before I talk about bad teaching, I will discuss the attributes of a good student. A good student reports to class on time daily, is respectful to his or her teachers and other school staff, actively participates in class, makes every effort to learn the content, and bring their supplies to class with them every day. What good parenting looks like is they're involved in the education of their child or children, attends parent-teacher conferences, attends PTA meetings, monitor their students' progress, holds every adult in the school building accountable, and attends extracurricular activities as well. I mentioned the positive attributes of parents and students before talking about teachers because the education of a student is an active partnership between student, parent, and school staff. Good teacher. A good teacher has a grasp of the content expertise, is equipped with instructional skills, is able to properly prepare students for assessments, prepares lesson plans, teaches to the various learning style, has a curriculum that is organized and flows smoothly. Then we have bad teaching. Bad teaching is teaching that leaves a student feeling unsure of themselves regarding their ability to perform on task. The teacher is either unwilling or unable to properly disseminate the content in a manner that is appropriate for each student. A bad teacher's focus tends to be when break is coming, the parameters set by their contract, and how the union will help them keep his or her job. Bad teaching negatively impacts the trajectory of good students. Bad teachers do not make up the majority. Instead, they are the minority and need to be dealt with. Two people already took the quote out of Becoming that I was going to share tonight. So I'm going to do a little bit different, if y'all don't mind. So the focus was when Michelle Obama was in second grade, she got a bad teacher. And so her mama, like me, set about getting her out of that bad teacher's classroom. So what I will say, and this sounds a lot like me, so forgive me. At the time, though, I was just happy that I had escaped. But I'd learned many years later that my mother, who is by nature wry and quiet, which is not me, but generally also the most forthright person in any room, that is me, made a point of seeking out the second grade teacher and telling her as kindly as possible that she had no business teaching and should be working as a drugstore cashier instead. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Phillips, and thank you for all of my colleagues who have spoken today. You have a point of personal privilege, Mr. Burrows?
I just would like to ask the administration to follow up. I don't know if Mr. Phillips this is your second time coming. I don't know if you have an individual in particular, but there are members of the executive team who could talk to you if you have a specific case. Okay. Also, Mr. Stan, I've actually walked the building with our PTSA president at Potomac. I saw exactly what she mentioned. A member of your top-level team walked with us, and to my knowledge...
Can we take that offline? Because this is exactly speaking to they're important, but...
Yeah, they're very important.
To make sure
I just want to put on the record...
It is. It's on the record.
I just want to put on the record that I have some significant concerns about Potomac, and I would like you to follow up with them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, colleagues. We'll now move on to our consent agenda. And I will yield the floor to Dr. Golson for an introduction of items 4.1 through 4.4 under the consent agenda.
Thank you. Items 4.1 through 4.4 requires board approval of proclamations commemorating Maryland Emancipation Day, American Education Week, Native American History Month, and Computer Education Week.
Thank you, Dr. Golson. Colleagues, I would entertain a motion to approve items 4.1 through 4.4 under the consent agenda. It's been moved and seconded to approve items 4.1 through 4.4 under the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, say no. Thank you. That motion carries. Colleagues, I now yield the floor to Dr. Golson for an introduction of items 5.1 through 5.14 under the budget consent agenda.
Items 5.1 through 5.14 requires board approval of the December 2018 and January 2018 expenditure requirements. Final acceptance and payment for work at Allenwood Elementary School, Calverton Elementary School, Walden Woods Elementary School, Bowie High School, Laurel High School, High Point High School, Gwynn Park High School, and Benjamin Tasker Middle School. Declaration of surplus at Linden Hills Elementary School, a major renovation project at Eugene Burroughs Middle School, tax-exempt municipal lease purchase, finance,
for procurement of replacement buses, textbooks, and instructional computers at FY19 budget reassignments over $500,000.
Thank you, Dr. Goldson. Colleagues, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 5.1 through 5.14 under the budget consent agenda. It has been moved and seconded to approve items 5.1 through 5.14 under the budget consent agenda. Seeing no speakers, I will put the vote before you and ask Ms. Berkeley to please call the roll.
Miss Ahmed. Aye. Miss Boston. Mr. Burrows. Mr. Burrows. Miss Eubanks.
Aye.
Miss Hernandez.
Aye.
Mr. Murray.
Aye.
Mrs. Quinteros Grady. Mr. Valentine. Mr. Wallace.
Aye.
Mrs. Williams.
Aye.
Dr. Wiseman. Dr. Eubanks.
Aye.
12 ayes, 1 absent.
Thank you, colleagues. That motion carries. Colleagues, I now yield the floor to Dr. Golson for an introduction of item 7.1 under new business, first reader.
6.1.
Actually, it's 7.1. I was wrong and you were wrong. What did I say, 5.1? 6.1? What did I say, 8.1?
All right. Item 7.1 requires board approval as first reader. The administration requests that questions related to this board action summary be submitted in writing in order for administration and the charter school operator to have sufficient time to answer the questions submitted from the board. More importantly, it provides us an opportunity to provide documentation of our questions for new board members who will join the team next Tuesday and who will be here to vote for the Board of Education's second reader on this item.
Thank you, Dr. Golson. Colleagues, may I have a motion to accept item 7.1 under first reader? Been moved and seconded. Colleagues, again, if there are questions and comments, I see many. We're going to put these on the record for response in writing, and we'll start with Ms. Ahmed.
Yes, I thank you, administration. Thank you, Dr. Eubanks. I fully appreciate and will respect your request for no questions, but I just want to make sure that you all know what I need so you can provide that documentation. So these are not questions. These are simply requests for information. The information that I see on board docs is basically 3 paragraphs of a summary, and that's not enough information for us to make a decision, in my opinion. I'm very thankful for the representatives from Excel Academy that came here and provided some feedback or testified before us today, because it gave me some clarity. But the specific things that I need is I need that student achievement data that Mr. Nee was talking about. I need the justification for the geographic preference area. Ms. Madewell went into a little bit of that, but y'all know that I am very skeptical of geographic preference areas, especially after our last charter renewal process, just because I think that they can lend themselves to inequity and inequality, and I want as much as possible to avoid that. I do appreciate the extra consideration for farm students, but those are the 2 things that I need: the student achievement data and the justification for geographic preference areas, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Duly noted.
Thank you. Mr. Valentine.
Thank you. I echoed my sentiments of my colleague regarding the information around the recent evaluation. It was quoted, but we normally get that information, so just to add the 2 most recent evaluations. The last thing, Ms. McDougall also referenced a particular classification that the school would get if they had a certain number of students who reached the 75% threshold of students who are farm, that said they'd be eligible for some program or funding or something like that. I'm just curious what that is. And so I will give this in writing, but just to give them a heads up that I'm just curious about what what she's referencing when she said that if the student demographic reaches over 75% free and reduced lunch, they're eligible for some funding. I'm just curious. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine. Mr. Burrows.
I want to thank you, Ms. Ahmed, for raising those very valid points. There's just no supporting information for moving this forward today or for final passage. I am also very interested in knowing how your current farm students are doing. You're asking for a preference area, which I appreciate, to increase your farm data, but there's nothing here that tells me how your current farm students are doing. And so I want to make sure that if they are doing well, I'm 110% going to support expanding it. And I appreciate your board for caring enough about those students to want them in your school. That means the world to me. And so if you're doing well with your farm students, I have no problem whatsoever with increasing that. And same with Ms. Ahmed, that geographical preference area, if you can explain that a little bit more. And I would also be interested in just looking at your overall academic data. But thank you for coming, and I sincerely appreciate your commitment to what it sounds like supporting families who come from poverty in our school system. So I look forward to talking with you before final passage.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. Mr. Murray.
Yeah, I would just briefly echo Board Member Burrows' comments in that I think the synopsis provided to the board is very brief and not as detailed as I would like to see even at the first reader stage. I would ask if possible if you can share the actual charter application with the board. It just feels like at this point the administration is operating off of a big information gap between what the board has, and so that makes it hard for me to make any sort of recommendation at this time. And so look forward to getting all that information and if possible getting that provided on first reader next time, because otherwise it kind of robs the board of any extra opportunity to debate.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Ms. Page.
I would like to ditto my board member, Rahila Ahmed. With respects to getting data, like what data improvements have been made over the 3 years from the start of their original renewal of their charter to now. Also, justification for more farm students. I understand they've received more resources. As Board Member Valentine said, what resources will be provided, and also is that the only justification for having more farm students? As Board Member Burrows mentioned, breaking down the demographics more than just farms versus non-farm students, but also based on ethnicity and male versus female. I would like to see the dynamics of how many males and females are in the school. I would also like to know what they have done. I guess that will kind of tie into the improvements over the 3 years and what they will continue to do or improve upon into the next 3-year contract if approved.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Seeing no further comments on this, I will put the vote of item 7.1 before you to approve as first reader. Am I missing something? Oh,
No,
go ahead.
I just wanted to make a note for those who publicly put their questions on record. There's no need to submit them. I did record them.
That's a good point. Thank you.
So for those who did not, you can still submit. And I also just want to add that during the summer, I created a book that provided detailed information about every last one of our charters that is still in the board office. So what we can do is take the information that's listed in that notebook for Excel and make sure we upload it along with this board action summary, in addition to some of the items that you've requested. Some that you requested are in that notebook, and additional ones we'll provide.
Thank you for reminding us of that valuable information you've provided for us. And again, as a reminder, board members, if you have any questions that you haven't been able to think of now, please give them in writing as soon as possible to give the administration time to answer. So again, I will put the vote before you to approve item 7.1 under first reader. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed say no. Thank you. That motion
Abstain.
carries.
I'd like to abstain.
Yeah.
Did I hear abstentions? Thank you. There are 3 abstentions, and so that vote carries. Colleagues, we move on to 8.1, which is our emergency item, Budget and Operations Committee FY 2020 Board Budget Priority Recommendations. I yield the floor to Mr. K. Alexander Wallace, the Chair of the Budget and Operations Committee, for an introduction to emergency item 8.1. Oops, looking the wrong way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, colleagues. So earlier today, for the public's knowledge that was not present for the board's Budget and Operations Committee meeting, the board's committee met and we discussed what initially was our historical 5 recommendations to the full board for consideration to submit to the administration for the annual unveiling of the fiscal year budget. But today, under the great work of the committee from Ms. Boston, Ms. Ammon, Ms. Williams, and Mr. Valentine, we were able to consolidate many of the recommendations into 4 strategic pillars. The first one, as you can see on the document, which is posted on board docs for public viewing as well. First one is employee compensation. The second one is operations, and under operations that would include maintenance, transportation, and school safety. The third recommendation are wraparound student services, and that pillar includes the expansion of restorative justice and practices, the community schools initiative of the board, and extended school counselors for secondary school. And the fourth pillar is the funding for the Equity Task Force recommendations that the board and the administration undertook last school year. I open the floor for comments, questions, and hopefully a vote of approval of this unanimous slate of recommendations.
Thank you. Before we open it up, let me put the motion on the floor to approve these recommendations. And then we can have discussion, debate, modifications if necessary. Thank you. It's moved on behalf of the committee and seconded. Thank you very much. Ms. Boston and Ms. Williams.
I just want to clarify on, I think it's item number 2. We talked about the maintenance, transportation, and we wanted to make sure that our bus drivers, we'll let you know that we heard you loud and clear before you even spoke about the conditions of the facilities, and that is one of the priorities that we felt needed to be addressed in this budget as well. So, I thank you for coming and speaking so passionately about the conditions of the lot. But this is one of the priorities that the committee felt that we need to address. So I just want to make sure you know that when we say transportation, that is the issues that we're talking about.
Thank you. Ms. Williams.
I just wanted to make that clarification also, that it was our focus is the transportation facilities.
Thank you. I'm just make a quick note to thank the Budget Committee for being very explicit about the Equity Task Force recommendations. Equity in our school system and in school systems throughout the nation has become a critically important issue. Not only that we are making sure that every student gets what they need, but that we're doing that kind of based on really knowing and understanding that how we use our resources is about how we think equitably about who needs the most. And our Equity Task Force, I think, did a brilliant job with a comprehensive set of recommendations. Anyone who's not seen that report, I would strongly recommend that you do. And I would just ask the administration to be as explicit as possible in your budget to kind of cross-reference the places in your budget that really address those equity recommendations. Fortunately, there's a lot in our budget that already does, and then any new things that you do, I'd appreciate that as well. Mr. Valentine.
Thank you very much, and I want to say thank you to our illustrious chair for the hard work that committee did in order to bring these forward. I would just like to add that in many cases it's not what, it's how much. And so in as much as we have priorities, ensure that we have a strategy of how we're advocating to our council members to ensure that we get as much money as possible in order to fulfill the tremendous needs that we have in our system. It's one thing to advocate for facilities funding, but if it's only enough to fund the minimum, then it's not successful. It's one thing to advocate for teacher pay, but if it's not to the level in which they expect to deserve, then it's not enough. And so I think it's important that once we move from ideas on budget items, that we also as a committee move to a strategy on how we're going to advocate to our county executive and our county council to ensure that as a county, we're moving forward with advocates like you all in the audience, those who are watching online, and those who are other officials in this county to ensure that we're getting as much as we can to fulfill the expectations we have for our system. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I will put the vote before you to approve emergency item 8.1, and I'll ask Mrs. Berkeley to please call the roll.
Miss Ahmed?
Aye.
Miss Boston? Mr. Burrows? Miss Eubanks?
Aye.
Miss Hernandez?
Aye.
Mr. Murray?
Aye.
Miss Page?
Aye.
They're just recommendations. They're just recommendations.
Recommendations, yes.
She can vote. Mrs. Quintero Scrady?
Aye.
Mr. Valentine? Mr. Wallace?
Aye.
Mrs. Williams?
Aye.
Dr. Wiseman? Dr. Eubanks?
Aye.
That's 12. One
Thank you.
absent.
12 ayes, and that motion carries. Follow-up items, colleagues, follow-up items from the October 23rd, 2018 board meeting will be posted in board docs upon receipt. Now, colleagues, may I have a motion to approve actions taken in executive session on Thursday, November 27th, 2018? May I have a second? Colleagues, it has been properly moved and seconded to approve actions taken in executive session on November 27th, 2018 as follows: internal audit report, personnel appointments, and administrative matters. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say no. Thank you. That motion carries. Colleagues, may I entertain a motion to adjourn? It has been properly moved and seconded that the November 27, 2018 board meeting be adjourned. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say no. Colleagues, this is our last official board meeting before the holidays. Have a safe and happy holiday season, and God bless you all.